Welcome back to The Deal with Danny Brown. I'm your host, Danny Brown. Thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment as always if you like what you hear. Summer has started, and we are in season 7 or 8. I can't keep track. Today's guest is Lauren Forbes from the Lauren Forbes Group in the South Bay. She's been dominating and doing big business, Manhattan Beach, Redondo, Hermosa, for many years. One of my favorite people there. She helps a lot anytime I have clients and deals in that area. You can find Lauren at laurenforbesgroup.com or at Lauren Forbes Group on Instagram. We get into the beach culture, the South Bay culture, the professional athlete hotbed it's become, training on the sand dunes. Some funny stories when I used to train with Piazza and Eric Karros over there at Manhattan Beach sand dunes. Funny stuff. But anyways, we're going to get into it. School's in session. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I do. Be safe out there. Enjoy your summer. Lauren Forbes, great to see you. Good morning.
You too. Yeah.
I'm so glad we're finally doing this. I know we've talked about doing this probably maybe 2 years or so, but it's 2 years in the making. I finally nailed you down in summer. You have a few moments coming live from the South Bay. Let's get into it. So you've been a top agent in South Bay for couple decades, 20 years or so. I know you had a background in law and litigation. But before we get into the market in the South Bay and what's happening, let's walk through your story and kind of walk us through where you grew up, where you went to school. You know, obviously you went to law school first. So walk us through your arc all the way to law school and then how you pivoted into real estate.
Okay. Very exciting. So I was actually born in Maryland at the Bethesda Naval Hospital. Believe it or not, my dad was a Navy doctor, but I moved to California in 3rd grade and grew up in Orange County in the South Laguna, Dana Point area. And I found Los Angeles when I went to law school at Loyola Law School. And I became an attorney. I loved being an attorney so much. It just was a lot of work away from home. So when I had my daughter in 1997, I was up for partner. I was traveling a ton. And I just decided to take a break. And my husband at the time, I think you know Randy Forbes, who is
shout out to Randy,
a great agent up in LA, said, "Hey, you should just try this real estate thing." And gosh, 23 years ago, I got my license and, I started dabbling, but very quickly, my job took off because we were living in the city where I was selling. And so many people were, having kids and making moves, and my business just really took off and I got very, very busy very fast. But what I loved about real estate then, and I still love now, although you know as well as I do, when we get super busy, we don't have a lot of free time, but it did allow me to work in the kids' classrooms, be the milk lady a little bit, so that being around was great. I could go to all their games and at least make it to the things I didn't want to miss.
Got it. So when you started in real estate, it started with Randy just helping out, or why you still were an attorney, or you completely pivoted and got
No,
out of
so I I quit being an attorney because it was just too much. And then I stayed home for about a year and a half. And I realized quickly I could not do that.
Time to get busy.
Love being a mom, but I'm better when I'm doing something else at the same time, I think. So I started my own business as a realtor down here. Randy and I never worked together per se, but he did give me a lot of great advice and pointers and whatnot in the very beginning.
Got it. So you started your business, you were a mom, your kids were in school, you were able to be involved hands-on in school and being a mother and all the kid community stuff. And this is all happening in the South Bay. So is Manhattan Beach, is that where home base is?
Yes, Manhattan and Hermosa. My team, I have a team now. We do all the way from sort of, Playa del Rey, Venice area, and then we go south to Palos Verdes Peninsula, which is a beautiful area as well.
So the whole South Bay and a little bit north to LA and a little bit south beyond South Bay. You've been a top producer for many, many years and do great business. You're one of the good the good gals or good guys in the business, you really walk the walk and talk the talk, and I mean that in the best way. So tell me about your team today. How many people? How it's structured, and then we'll get into the nuances of your specific market and the South Bay beach culture and all that, all the nuances that are so specific to where you live and work. But let's start with your team breakdown and how it's made up.
Yeah, I have finally formulated the best team. I am so excited about my team right now. We spent a lot of time the last couple of years getting it exactly where we want it to be. I have two assistants. I think you know
I
both of
probably
them
know them both
actually
well.
because they both came from the Beverly Hills office. But Kelsey and Michelle, they are an integral part of my life and my profession. I couldn't do it without them. Kelsey really runs the business. I'm out on appointments all the time. I generally create listings. That's all I'm doing is working on listings. I help with buyers, obviously, and work with buyers, but day to day, my main goal is to get listings and sell our listings. I worked very hard doing things to get the listings sold because, as you know, right now,
Yeah.
certain parts of the market are a little tight. So I have those two assistants, and then I have three what I would call agents. They do listings and work with buyers. They are amazing. They're all incredible athletes, which I think is a great thing to look at if
Yeah.
you're trying to build a team. They are very driven, very conscientious, super hardworking, and they're team players. They're constantly helping each other. Everybody wants to bring something to the team and help the other. It's
Everyone
beautiful.
contributes.
It's great. I also have Sean Goodsell, who is on my team. He is a legend down here too. He kind of stepped back and had retired and wanted to get his foot back in. So he really helps me manage the team, works with team members, and he coaches me. He's been a great part of my team as well.
Well, that's nice. I didn't realize that he was back with you. I guess I did. I see his name with you, but that's nice to have because
Yeah.
someone who's a lot of experience. Also,
It's so great.
there's a lot to unpack. Why don't we drill down a little bit on the having athletes on your team? Because I've heard this so many times from so many top business people that they really love athletes because of some of the things you touched on. Can you just dive into that a little bit? Why you feel that these guys or gals are well
Yeah.
suited?
I didn't really plan it that way. But right now, the three agents are all great athletes and different types of athletes. They take care of themselves. They get up early. They're really communicative. They're always looking for ways to improve the group. Communication is key, and that is something that we kind of over the years, you have people come and go from your teams all the time. The one thing about this particular makeup of my team right now is that everybody is at the same level as far as pushing to work harder. They're at different levels of their career, but just
Hmm.
as far as how hard they work, how many hours they want to get the business, which is great for me because then it's not hard to know who to give business to because it's a level playing field.
Well, that's nice to have. So I can imagine that being now optimal because a lot of the challenges with teams are that people aren't motivated, aren't team oriented, aren't willing or as ambitious to do the work, and then they start dragging down teams and or moving on. That's the common challenge with teams and trying to put teams together. But it sounds like you've got the right mix, the right formula. And it's really interesting to hear the team concept because athletes do seem to come from a background of team and they're self motivated and disciplined because that was part of just their DNA and what they did. So I can relate to that a lot. So let's now talk about South Bay real estate. And here we are, summer. Today's the first day of summer, by the way. So happy
Summer
summer.
solstice, yes.
Yeah. So, hopefully we'll get down to the beach, play some volleyball, maybe surf a little bit. Talk to me about what's unique about real estate in Manhattan Beach and life in Manhattan Beach
Yeah.
and South Bay.
Um,
It's not just Manhattan.
yes. Yeah. Well, the whole South Bay, it's very small town oriented. And even though we've grown a lot, and we have expanded the types of people that are moving into our area. People have found out about it. I think,
Yeah.
some of the NFL and
Big with
NBA
athletes.
players were, running up and down our sand dune, and everyone's like, "Hey, where's that?"
Yeah.
Uh, but it is a very small town atmosphere. We have gotten a lot of great restaurants and shops down here to expand our downtown area, but it's still a very tight-knit community. So what we like to say, and we get tons and tons of referrals from people like you, which is awesome. I think 25% of my business is referral based from the west side, and then more from outside the area. But I get a lot of referrals. People come down here from the west side because we have amazing schools and they're free. We don't have to send our kids to private school by and large. Some people do. There are great private schools close by. So the schools, and also we like to say, you park your car in the driveway on Friday and you don't get back into it till Monday. It's a walking town everywhere
That's
down here.
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you walk to the beach, you walk to the restaurants, you walk, there is very active, and you get to the point where it's like everybody kind of knows who everybody is, which is a really nice thing to come home to.
Yeah, and
And
I,
we're eight
look,
minutes from LAX.
well, right. So for those, to give you context, for those people that aren't in the LA, Southern California area, and we have a lot of people listening from all over the country and world, Manhattan Beach is kind of a suburb of Southwest Los Angeles. It's, if you go south in LA past Marina Del Rey, it's the next beach, and then it's Redondo, Hermosa, etc., Palos Verdes. So it is very much an extension of LA, yet it's completely its own world and its own
Yes.
city. And I know a lot of people have migrated over the last decade, and then it accelerated over COVID. But a lot of families from the city have migrated down there because
Yeah.
of the things you're talking about: the schools, the lifestyle, the lack of crime, the beach life, all that, the restaurants. So yeah, that's it's very appealing. It's in a very,
Yeah.
you're near the big city, but you're completely away from it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is also, for you made a reference to the sand dunes. So it's always been known a lot of professional athletes train, and all athletes train at these famous sand dunes, which is a mountain of sand that you'll see people running up day and night. And it has been a sort of an attractive hotbed of professional athletes that have moved to the South Bay for a lot of reasons. That's one of them, but it's also
Well, their
saying
training facilities are so close by. We have
right.
hockey, basketball, tons of volleyball players, obviously,
Yeah.
here. So, and
Lakers and Clippers have their facilities there.
yes, so
Yeah.
we get a lot of it, and people don't bother them, I think, which is really nice. We do have a lot of celebrity type people and athletes here, and people really don't bother them, again, because it is such a small hometown feel that people are just, kind of a little bit polite that way.
It's a nice breath of fresh air, like
Yeah.
coastal fresh air. So let's break down the market now. So obviously the market has been different in this year, and every month things are changing. But give us a little breakdown. What's happening in the beginning here of summer 2023? Interest rates hovering in the mid sixes to seven. What are you guys seeing there? It's a very obviously small market, beach market, and high demand fundamentally. But now layer on the date and what's happening today, so we can get a taste of what's really
And
going
just like our market is so tiny that, like, August, for example, is traditionally really slow because realtors go on vacation. And when realtors aren't working, like, our
on.
market comes to a halt a little bit. It's
There's
very
no one around to show a house.
exactly. But right now we have very limited inventory. We have a little more than a third of a healthy inventory. The different areas some different areas, it kind of trades off. One house will sell in one of the areas, like the tree section, it'll get a really good price, and then 3 or 4 will pop on, and then it will be dry. So we have the different areas down here that are trading off activity. But what we're seeing right now is that the low end of the market down here, which I would say is like 3.5 and under, is moving like crazy. You list it and it's gone. And then over 8 which is our high end. Like the other big difference down here is we don't have uber high end listings. We've only had less than a dozen $20 million sales ever in the history of, the South
But,
Bay.
but there's a reason for it, right? The lots, for those that don't know, the lots are very small, and
We have smaller
the
lots.
properties are
Yes.
built vertically. So a 15 or
Yes.
10 million, $20 million little beach lot. What is the average lot on the beach? Are they 45, 5,500? The beach
On
lots?
the
The
square
sand?
footage of the lots.
Yeah, they're small
Oh,
lots.
no, much smaller. Like if you're on the sand, they're between, the smallest ones are under 3,000.
Yeah, so
A
they're
double lot can go up to 5,000. But our sand section lots, which are not on the sand, but are like on walk streets going up, those
yeah,
are 2,700. So they're 30 by 90.
yeah.
They get views, but we do have, we have our hill section, which is kind of, like it's on par sort of with the Strand. You have larger lots with views because you're on the hill, and so you can get 10 to 14,000 square foot lots. But I think there's 77 lots over 10,000 square feet in the hill
Not a
section,
lot.
so that's not a lot, and most of them are spoken for. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of that coming up now. Palos Verdes has, you can get acreage
More.
up there
Yeah.
and views, but you're not walking to the beach from most parts of that area.
Yeah, different.
But
More on a bluff overlooking, not on the
yes,
sand.
yes. So our high end is moving. Over 8 is moving. That mid market, which I say is like 4 to 8, it's a little slower. It has to be priced right. It has to look good. It has to be what people want.
Sure.
Ironically, all my listings right now are in the mid there.
Oh no!
I know, poor me.
I know the feeling. I've had a handful here, and we're having very similar situations in terms of pricing and what parts of the market are stronger and which are weaker.
I think that 4 to 8 range, they really are more dependent on financing. And so that's where, the people that are at the lower end, they're smaller loans and they're like, well, we just got to get in, and the people at the top are obviously using cash or they don't care about the interest rates. So
Sure.
It's that 4 to 8. And I'm sure you have buyers like I do that are just struggling with, double their payment from, 8 months ago and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a lot of similarities. We have the property owners that don't want to trade out of a 3% or 2.5% mortgage, which is 70% of all owners right now. They don't want to go from that and trade up into 7%.
Yeah.
So you have that issue. And then you have the fact that there's already a lack of inventory in the South Bay because there's not that many lots and there's not that people that ever need to move.
Yep.
And you have this fundamental demand for people that are not only already living there, but people that want to move in. So it is such a nuanced, weird, market everywhere, and everywhere is a little different. But there are a lot of similarities from there. So in terms of pricing, you feel like prices have been pretty much similar to LA, like level or within a couple percent band of what it's been?
Our high end and low end is moving up.
So it's moving up.
Yeah. Yes.
So prices are up this year higher than they were a year ago or 2 years ago.
In certain pockets.
Yeah.
The lower end for sure is still, heading up. The high end, all of our uber high end, I would say, are such unique properties. It's kind of hard to say because the comps are hard to compare. But yeah, we're seeing some big numbers come out.
So can you tell us any funny, crazy stories of athletes or in general that's happened down there? What can you share with us?
Oh, gosh. I have worked with quite a few athletes over the years. And honestly, what ends up happening is I never knew who they are until they come in. And then someone in the office will go, do you know who that is? But I had this one, I don't want to say any names, but I had this one basketball player who was a star player on one of the teams. And he and his wife came in looking for a house. And I had like this little bench that had like it was like a couch, but a built-in couch in my office.
Yeah.
And his wife and his brother came in. This is years ago. And it was actually referred by a West Side agent. And he laid down on the couch and played Game Boy the entire time we talked about what we were going to go look at, what were you seeing? And then when we got to the houses, all he cared about was the garage because he had like 3 or 4
That's
Escalades and he had to make sure. And we don't have huge garages down here. So it was kind of I didn't end up closing that deal, unfortunately. But I
Oh
just
no.
looking at him on the couch. And at that time, I knew his name, but I didn't know who he was really. He became much more famous after that. Uh,
Yeah.
but that was kind of funny.
What
And
matters is the video game setup and the garage. We don't care about the
exactly.
views. We don't care about the
No,
floor plan.
kitchen, forget about it. Who cares? But yeah, yeah,
It's funny. I remember, growing up in LA, we used to. Eric Harrelson, Mike Piazza used to live down there, and a lot of
yeah,
Dodgers, and they'd always train on the beach and run. So a lot of the guys, younger guys that my high school and college age, we'd go train and run out there with them, and sometimes we'd do the dunes, sometimes we'd be running sprints, we'd be playing long toss. So I just remember like, this is in the '90s, right? So this is a whole
right.
different world. But that's what I remember. There's people on your guys are on the beach, and then I remember doing that with at SC with some of the football players too. With the Booty brothers were out there. We were always running patterns and throwing footballs around. Like you could on any given weekend see that happening.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty fun. I mean, and
It's a
people
cool
leave them
lifestyle.
alone. Like I said, the only other super funny thing that happened, and I'm sure this happened to you. I remember this is like I was barely in the business. I was brand new, and this new listing came out right around the office, the street, right around the corner from my office at the time, and everybody was going on Caravan. And I must have been the first one out of the office to run up to it. And I go to the house and it was pitch black and I'm opening the doors and I walk into the master bedroom. It was tenant occupied.
Oh, great.
And it was pitch black. I couldn't find the light switch or anything. So I go and I open the curtains and lo and behold, there was a couple in
Oh,
bed
God.
that
Surprise!
oh, and I scared the bejeebies out of them, but they scared me. I
Oh,
seriously took me a while to like ever walk in a house alone.
traumatizing. We've had those traumatizing moments, and you can't even explain. But like, once that happens, every time you walk into a house, you're probably thinking, "I got to make sure." You got that anxiety.
Screaming, hello,
Yeah, yeah. I've had similar. Don't want to think about it. I still have trauma from it as well. So look, there's a lot of agents out there, newer agents and veteran agents, listening, and I'd love to get your take since you've done this so long, consistently building a business. What are some words of wisdom or some advice you would give, or things you may have learned, or things that you would say, hey, if someone's in the game now and they're really trying to break through in some way and trying to improve, what would you say to that person?
Mm. You know as well as I do, the business has changed dramatically in the time that we've been in it. And
Sure has. Yeah.
for me, what I think is actually kind of I don't know if it's sad, but it's the truth is that it's very hard to get started if you're not on a team these days. The infrastructure, and I feel bad because I think it's a great, some people that want to do the business sort of part-time and get a couple listings. It's a great business model for somebody that, has other obligations. Maybe they've got small children or whatnot. But it has just become very competitive. Then, the teams can offer so much more. When I was, for many years, I was on my own and I loved doing that. I think that's very hard, right? And I've heard from a lot of agents, it's very hard to be on your own. But what I tell all my agents, and I stand by it, I've had some of them not believe me, the people that make the most money and do the best in this business work the hardest. And some people make it look easy. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And if you're good at it, you make it look easy because you don't sit and complain about being on the phone till
Correct.
10 o'clock at night, or your phone starts ringing at 7, or you're working on weekends because that's when people are available. But it is hours in, hours out. And I tell them all the time, it's not for the faint of heart. It's exciting. It's amazing to get to know people at a time where they really need your help and help them transition to a new location, or, also dealt with so many people who had lost loved ones and had to move, or got transferred and didn't want to move, or there's so many positive and difficult situations, and we get to be there. It's a privilege. And so my recommendation is, if you want to get in this business, you got to put the time in. It is not, and you have to pick up the phone. I think the younger agents these days, they want to text and email. They don't want to call. And the results are very different. I think people want to talk to you, meet in person. I always try to get, either at the very least a Zoom call if they're out of town, so that you can see face to face and see, like, that there's some trust there. They understand what you're going to do for them, and that they're going to let you know what they want and what they need. So yeah, it's hardworking, and ask for help too. Like, I'm sure you do get calls all the time. I get calls all the time from agents, and I love meeting with them. And I have great ideas too. Like, there's different types of networking groups to set up, not with other agents, but with other professionals to refer business. I've done that for many years. There's lots of different things you can do. And I always want to pay back, because people helped me when I first got in, and gave me some ideas. And once you get those ideas that actually work not everyone's good at door knocking, not everyone's good at cold calling, but you find what you're good at and then just go for it.
I love that. That's words of wisdom right there. Exactly right. Find what you're good at, double down, triple down, quadruple down, go all in, but there's no shortcut. It's hard work.
There's no
training. And there's a lot of glamorous, exciting, and very satisfying elements of our careers and dealing with people on this level. But there's also just grinding, hard work, day after day, month after month, year after year.
It reminded me of my favorite saying.
What's that?
The shortcut is doing the work. That's the shortcut.
The shortcut is doing the work. I love that. I love that, because
I didn't make it up.
That's it. Drop the mic. Done. Mic drop. Boom. There is no shortcut for doing the work.
Yeah.
And you got to do it. And it is, we are in an age, and the business has changed with the instant gratification, the digital world, the social media world, the perception that people are able to project, and people want it now. But this business really isn't that at all. It is the antithesis of now. I mean, there's clients that you've worked with and I've worked with where it's 10 years from now before we transact, and another 10 years, maybe they will or won't transact. So yes, it's the long game, and it's a lot of work, and I love that. All right, let's talk about some fun personal stuff. Any books you're enjoying or you would recommend? It doesn't have to be a business book, doesn't have to be a personal self. It could be any books that you've enjoyed that you would love people to say, hey, yeah, this is something for someone to check out.
I'm an avid reader. I love to read, and I recommend people read too. So I always try to have one business book and one personal book, kind of thing.
Love it.
My absolute favorite business book, which now is kind of getting a little old, but it's Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss.
Oh, he
was
a legend.
FBI hostage negotiator, Harvard professor. I actually had
love Chris. Amazing.
Did you do the training with him? He did.
I've done several things for years with Steve Shull, and Steve Shull introduced him years ago, and it just blew my mind. My head exploded and went, aha. I related to the things he said so much more than other things I've heard through the years with regards to business negotiations. I was like, everything he said, I related to.
For any business, it's not real estate related. All businesses.
Life.
Life, exactly. Your relationships with people.
People, humans, dealing with humans. And he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah. So two other just sort of like more self-help or whatever and these are old, Untethered Soul is one of my absolute favorite books.
Okay.
And The Four Agreements, which I read at least once a year,
Really? You read it over and over. Good for you.
And it is different every time. I will tell you, depending on what relationships you're in or working on at the time, it's a game changer for me. I tend to take things personally and make assumptions. Those are the two agreements that I have the hardest time with. So I'm a work in progress, and
we all are. We all are.
I read a book that I never would have picked up called The Horse.
I don't know
And
that.
the author's name is escaping me, but it was so good. And I don't know anything about horses, and I would have never picked it up, but it was a book club book, and it's an amazing, it's like historical fiction. It's about, when slavery was ending and these people who were slaves to the horse racing
Oh, wow.
situation, and they started to be able to have ownership in horses. And then it switches to modern day, a young man and a young woman, I can't remember if it was Yale or Harvard, one of those. And she is an anthropologist working on putting horses together. Anyway, the stories cross over.
It
It's
weaves through
awesome. It's
history and
really
present
good.
day. It sounds really
Yeah.
interesting.
And
I
then
love it.
you read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. That's another one
No.
I would have never picked up. That's a brand new book. It's all
I'm
about,
making notes.
this book is all about, making computer games and what goes into it. And it's very interesting. It's a novel, but it's fun. It's got some romance in there too. So it's
All right. This
got a
is
little bit
there's
of
a
everything.
lot of good summer reading here.
Yeah.
I love it. So how about in terms of like routines and structure? I mean, you're a mother, you're a big entrepreneur, you have a full life, social life, friends, travel. Kind of walk me through, because a lot of the challenges we have is once you have a big business, how do you juggle it all? And a lot of times it comes down to, well, what is your routine? What is your mindset? So I'd love to hear, do you have a specific routine that you'd like to start your day off with or end your day off with?
I am all about routine.
Ah.
People on my team get sick of hearing me talk about it. I get up at 5:15 every day. On the weekends,
Woo!
I sleep till 8. But I have a very regimented routine. There's what's the guy's name? There's I can't remember the guy's name, but there's another book called The Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I kind of adjusted my routine. So I get up, I read for 10 or 15 minutes, I journal for 10 or 15 minutes, and I meditate. I used to meditate for an hour every day. I was very
that's a lot.
into Zen meditation, and then I adjusted. Now it's 10 to 15 minutes. So those first, 40 to 45 minutes are like
That
centering
hour.
myself. Then I go to an exercise class. It's usually hot yoga. That's my jam right now. I love
Nice.
it. And then I don't know if I told you, I put an ice plunge.
Oh yes, we were talking about this because I was
Yeah.
looking at ice plunges. So you did it. You
I
have
do it every day.
I got to come down there and plunge.
Yes. Yeah, my neighbor.
I haven't. I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I keep looking at them and talking myself out of it.
I use it every day. I got the one that stays cold. You don't have to put ice in it or anything like
Okay.
that. It was definitely an investment, but I use it every day. And there are so many things: mental clarity, my sleep, my body temperature regulation, because I'm getting older and that's a thing.
You're getting younger. You look younger every time I see you.
Thank you. I wish. But it also helps with like muscle and joint pain, which,
Inflammation. Yeah.
inflammation.
So how many minutes can you sit in that? I know it's really, you build a tolerance. I mean, I've done
Yes.
only limited amounts, but what is it? What
I
is
do
your
6
typical?
to 8 minutes, which is
Woo!
longer than most people do. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a routine in there too. Like my hands. So I think from typing all these years, my hands, my knuckles get very sore. So when I put them in the water, that's kind of what hurts. So I place my hands on my thighs, which is a big muscle group, to kind of warm them for the first half. And then I keep them in the water all by themselves for a
Oh.
second. I'm used to it by now, but I have to say, I never want to get in there. Every single time it's like, so I have a timer and I hit the timer, and as soon as it goes beep, I force myself to go in. It's just this weird.
Good for you.
But Mel Robbins, she spoke at
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
retreat
that's why
last
she spoke
year.
at our retreat.
She's somebody that her High Five Habit, I think, is an amazing book too.
I love that too. That 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I try to tell
Yes.
my kids that to get them out of bed. Like, let's go,
Yes.
or go do your homework, or go.
Yeah.
By the way, isn't Jay Shetty speaking at the Compass retreat this year
Yes.
in San Diego? So that'll be awesome.
I'm so excited about
Shout
that.
out to Jay. That was great. Yeah, Mel was good last year. We had Gary V a couple years. I mean, it's always great speakers at that.
It
so,
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's one of my favorite. And one of the things she said is doing something like that regularly teaches you that you can do hard things. So like in the morning, if I start to feel like, oh, I really don't want to do it, I'm like, no, I can do hard things.
Your day becomes easy once you've accomplished something so hard. Is your setup, is it outside or inside?
It's outside. I have like this tiny little deck off
It's
my
on your deck.
Primary. And yeah, I have a little sauna out there too.
Do you go back and
it's my little like Lauren spa.
You got your wellness spot. So you do the hot cold too? Do you back and forth?
Well, I'm doing hot yoga so much that by the time I get home, I'm already hot. But yeah, you can go in. Some people will go in there, like my kids will, my kids are gone, by the way. They're both in New York City now, living.
Oh my God, how can
living
your kids
the
be
life.
gone?
I know.
That's amazing.
So I'm total empty nester, but
well, you have a reason to go to New York and have some fun with the kids now. I mean,
and I have already been there twice this year. Yes, so
I'm sure.
But they're
anything else you want to? Let us know anything about the summer Manhattan Beach, any highlights, anything's coming up, any lessons, anything else you want to share. You've been fabulous. I always love connecting with you, and I'm glad we finally did this.
Me too. Thank you so much. This is my first podcast ever. So.
Well, you act like you're a pro anyway, but you're a pro at everything. You're beast mode, man.
No.
Cold plunge for 8 minutes. Are you kidding me? You're tougher than Ray Lewis.
Wim Hof has a book too.
Wim Hof. The Wim Hof method. Check that out.
That is a good book.
If I can get 60 seconds to 120 seconds in the plunge, that's a big win for me.
It is, and you'll feel better. And then you'll challenge yourself. I would say we do concerts in the park down here. If awesome. You have never spent time in the South Bay, anybody listening to this, come visit. Call me, text me. I can send you to what restaurants are the best, or there's always something fun going on. There's, walks, runs, paddles, volleyball. We have so many fun things to do over the summer. So
and the sand dunes. You want to get in shape?
And do the dune. Although you have to actually schedule appointments now because it got so crowded.
That's so wild. Even that concept blows my mind.
I can't do it. It goes against my grain. But that's the thing now.
Well, so good to see you. I'm so glad we got to do this. I'll see you soon, either in the South Bay or in La Jolla, San Diego.
I will definitely see you in San Diego, but
I may even see you in Beverly Hills soon, because I know you do some stuff up here as well. So thanks for joining us. You did great. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Have a great day.
Great job. That was awesome.